We're all just humans being. And I just want kids to feel that they're not alone, I guess, and not the only ones. That we all have these insecurities or struggles. We all need to remember that we're amazing. We are amazing.
This is Down to Earth Conversations, where we hear from ordinary people who are helping to bring a bit of heaven
Kia ora,
down to earth.
welcome to another episode of Down to Earth Conversations with me, your host, Andy Dixon. Since last episode, I've been along to the Awaken conference here in Ōtautahi, which is New Zealand's conference for rainbow people of Christian faith. It's run by a diverse church who feature in my conversation with their founder, Craig Watson, on episode 47. And my biggest takeaway from the weekend, which I've shared over on Instagram and Facebook, is that if you want to understand how to give people a sense of inclusion and belonging, go and hang out with people who know what it's like to be excluded. It was a beautiful time with beautiful people, and I've never felt so included in my life. So thanks to Craig and the Awaken team. A huge love to you. On to today's episode. I had the pleasure of having a korero with Kath Bee. Kath is one of New Zealand's top children's music writers and performers, with a ton of accolades under her belt and an infectiously positive outlook on life. I was surprised to find out how late Kath started in music, which then allowed for some great discussion about life before music, including how being a teacher aide has shaped her as she learnt from those who others call disabled. We also discuss why she likes to write songs that teach positive messages about life to children, and how her collaboration with E Tū Tāngata came about that led her to take out Best Song at the New Zealand Children's Music Awards last year. It's another encouraging and uplifting conversation. This is episode 67 of Down to Earth Conversations. Here's Kath Bee. Well, kia ora, Kath. Welcome to the podcast.
Kia ora, Andy. It's lovely to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Or should I say, actually invited myself.
You did, but actually, what a great idea. So I'll take connections any way they come. Nohia koe, tell us a bit about yourself. Who is Kath Bee?
Oh, crikey. That's a good question because immediately I turn to my creative side, my Kath Bee Songs for Kids personality. Myself, I'm now a new or my granddaughter's 1 year old, so I'm a kind of a new nana,
Nice.
which is a whole new phase of life, which is cool.
Yeah. I've heard others say that's the reason you have kids, is so that you can do that bit. Have the grandkids later on. But
it is a good payoff, actually. Yeah. I'm gosh, it's an actually really great question because you very rarely think about who you are yourself. You more think about what your job is.
Yeah, what you do. Yeah.
What you do.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm quite I like to have fun. I like to laugh. I do like music. I like to paddleboard. I like to do yoga. I like walking. I love to be kind to other people, and that takes all forms. And I'm sort of in the phase of life where it's sort of you've done all the hard yards, and before you kind of retire, I suppose, and what that means, and rediscovering who you are, is at this age, kind of thing. I'm 57, so yeah.
Nice. And you're based up in the Nelson region.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. We were just up there over Christmas. My in-laws are in Richmond.
Oh, nice. Did you stay there?
Yeah. So we stayed with my mother-in-law, and
nice.
Yeah, had a week up there and managed to come after bad weather and before bad weather. So
I was going to ask about the weather.
It was lovely when we were up there.
Excellent.
Yep.
There's some awesome things to do here. It's a really lovely region for everything's handy kind of thing.
Yeah.
I love it
There's
here.
a whole lot of paddleboarding going on up there, isn't there?
I know. It's constant people out there on their paddleboards. It's great.
I haven't done it for a long time, but I've really enjoyed it when I've done it. But yeah, as you've alluded to, a big part of life for you is being a musician.
Yep.
How early did you get into playing music?
I was a very late starter, actually.
Right.
So I had a musical upbringing because my father, we had a piano and he played piano by ear. And so there was always music kind of in the house. And then my oldest sister learnt classical piano through the grades. So there was always practicing going on and scales and all sorts. And Dad loved to listen to his records, his classical and opera records, which we used to sort of take the mickey out of sometimes. We'd go around the house going, la, la, la.
Yeah.
We weren't big fans, and Mum wasn't either, but she was pretty tolerant of all that. And Mum was a good singer, and she could also whistle and tune. None of us were sort of out there performers. It was more at home. So that was kind of my musical start. And I did try to learn. My sister tried to teach me piano probably when I was 5. I think we did about a year. But I was a bit flighty. I wanted to be able to play all the good stuff without having to practice.
Yeah. I've just recently started doing a bit of teaching with my 9-year-old, and we tried to do like kind of formal one lesson every week thing, but separating teacher and dad was too hard.
Yeah.
So what we've done now is she kind of goes through the book and I give her tips kind of as and when I feel like it, and she listens to them or not. So
is this guitar or piano?
This is piano, yeah.
Oh,
piano.
okay. Have you learnt classical piano?
Yes, I did up to grade 5.
That's pretty good.
Was my musical
It's a good
start.
solid start.
And then I decided that I'd had enough of classical and I didn't want to do that anymore. And I rebelled and went off and did other stuff. Learnt guitar and drums on the way as well. But then, now I kind of wish I'd kept up my ability to play that classical stuff, because my left hand basically does octaves now in the bass.
Yes.
But that's okay. It suited what I've needed to do, and it gave me the theory to then be able to do all the other music stuff that I've done over the years.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep. I think I don't know if I regret it, but I kind of wish I'd stuck at it a bit, because it would have been useful. Learning the piano is good because it makes sense. It's one note after the other. It makes sense. Guitar's a bit nonsensical in a way. Well, it isn't, but it's easier on the piano. So I kind of wish I'd done a little bit more theory, but at the same time, I've gotten where I've gotten without having to. So that's good.
So when did you start like playing guitar?
Okay, so I learned a few chords when I was a teenager. My sister had a boyfriend who played guitar, so I learned a few things. I learned Sugar Mountain from Neil Young, and I learned Hey Hey My My. I learned to play a little bit of Stairway to Heaven, and those kind of things that everyone learns. And then when my daughter was about 11, I think, and I couldn't figure out how to play sharps or anything on the guitar. I was like, what's going on? So then I learned how to play bar chords. I went to there just happened to be someone across the road who was teaching music, a guitar. And I learned a few bar chords, and I was like, it all kind of opened up for me. So, and then I went to some singing lessons just for fun in the evenings, and that's when the teacher said, I think you should do the contemporary music course at the School of Music.
Right.
And then my daughter was 11, and I thought, I could.
So how old were you
do
at that stage?
Now. I was 35.
Right. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so I was a late starter, but it was just the best thing I'd ever done for so many reasons. Meeting people, learnt so much. Like there were people there who'd been playing music for years, and there was me who had never even plugged in a lead or anything in my life. So it was just so good.
So what had you been doing like when you left school and stuff? What?
When I left school, I worked in offices, so I did various clerical jobs. mostly that I worked for the health department, the conservation department. And then I had my daughter, and when she was school age, I started doing teacher aiding.
Oh, nice.
Because it was great, school hours and school holidays. So, yeah, I did that. And I was a solo mum from, I think she was 3 when we moved back to Nelson. And so, yeah, it was convenient and it worked well. Then I did teacher aiding for years and worked with various people with varying abilities, with autistic people, with Down syndrome children. And yeah, it was a really good, it was kind of grounding, and it was quite real.
Because teacher aiding is one of those jobs that, I mean, it flies under the radar for a lot of people, that they kind of almost don't even realize it happens. But typically, if a kid needs a teacher aide, it's because there are difficulties, or the school
Challenges.
The school system doesn't necessarily work for them properly.
No.
Which that's something I'm chair of the board at the girls' school, and that's something I've noticed, is that it's not even that these kids can and that kid can't. It's that actually this whole system is designed for this type of kid, not for that type of kid.
Yeah.
Did you find you learnt kind of about yourself while you were doing it as well?
I did. But I also learnt that we're all humans just getting along, regardless of our abilities or challenges. And I kind of learnt that I was quite good working with people with all sorts of challenges and just treating them like I would treat anybody. And through that, I think I made a lot better connections with some of the kids that I was working with. And this was, everyone who's from someone who struggled with maths to someone quite autistic. And so, yeah, it was just be yourself. And what I did love, especially with one girl who had Asperger's, was that she did not have inhibitions. And so when we were together, like if she felt like dancing in the middle of the playground, she would. And so that made me think, well, I'm going to just do it too.
Yeah, nice.
And so I spent time with her when she'd left school as well. And sometimes we'd walk down the street and she'd just be singing and I'd just be singing and people would be looking at us, but it didn't matter. And I think that it does help to let go of your inhibitions when you're with someone who doesn't have so many inhibitions. It's great.
I guess that also, I've talked a lot on the podcast about the term disability, and it challenges what you think of as a disability, because actually, that was something that's actually enabling for her in a lot of ways. And, we carry a disability because we've got these, inhibitions that make us not want to do that sort of thing. So
that's right.
Not that, Asperger's doesn't have its own challenges, but yeah, it's all perspective, isn't it?
It sure is perspective. That's right. And because I'm a nana and I've got wee Elsie, and because you kind of realise that when you're a baby, you are born just thinking you're awesome and just everything's awesome and everything you do is awesome, because you blow off and everyone claps like, yay, you did a fart, it's awesome. I don't know if I can say that word on your, everything you do is just now she just started walking and we're all like, and we don't as adults celebrate our blooming achievements enough. Like we just sort of I just did that, it's not a big deal. But I think that it's a good learning curve to go, every little thing that you achieve you should celebrate it.
Yeah.
And also it's a really good thinking that when you're born you're free of all that stuff, and as you grow up it only takes one person to say one thing to give you maybe I'm not as awesome as I thought I was. I thought my dancing was cool, but now. So it's a little bit sad that happens, but it's also a good lesson to think, actually I am okay. I am awesome. I do achieve things, and I don't know where that came from, but
No, that's awesome. So once you went to the performing arts school, was that with an eye towards a career in it, or was that just, hey, this will be a fun thing to do at this time of life? Or
Yeah, it was more a, hey, this will be a fun thing to do at this time of life. What else am I going to do now that my daughter was getting a bit older, And because I never went to uni, I didn't have any, I didn't know what my passions were or what I wanted to do. And I was kind of happy just doing whatever came along. And I'm still pretty much the same. So, yeah, it was just that. But it did lead to a choir. I must have met her through the singing. And she was a teacher at a school. And when I finished the course, she said, come and do some teaching with our tamariki. And I thought to myself, I have no idea what I'm doing. But okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I travelled over to Motueka once a week and I taught the kids music. I did not know what I was doing, but we all had a good time and they seemed to learn some stuff. And then at the end of the year, I thought, we better do a concert. And I was trying to think of a Christmassy song to sing, and I thought of carols, and I do love carols, but I thought, these kids are a bit cool for carols. So I wrote a Christmas song, and it actually came out okay, and they liked it. I was like, whoa, I could do this.
That's actually really cool that, even your teacher aiding kind of sets you up with the opportunity to then be back in that space and have it be familiar. And I mean, like you say, you kind of went, I don't know what I'm doing, but you also were in an environment where you weren't completely new to.
Yes, that's right.
I always like seeing how people's lives kind of build towards the next thing. And kind of tracing those things through. And, I've seen that in my life where I've done one thing and then seemingly gone and done something completely different, only to find that it's almost the same, but with, different clothes on. It's a whole different idea, but actually I'm doing much of the same skill work, or, this thing led to that, or, so I find that really fascinating.
Yeah, that just reminded me of, because I do some things in schools for Duffy Books, and they give out free books to schools and kids, and I do what's called role model assemblies. And in my speech, when I was starting to write my speech or my spiel for the kids, I sort of was trying to think about how books had influenced me as a writer. And I remembered that I used to love Dr. Seuss books. Like, I read them like crazy, and I didn't realize then, of course, that would influence my rhyming style, the way I write songs. And so you just never know. Well, pretty much everything you learn or do has some sort of influence later on, and that could be a good influence, or it could be a not so good influence. In the sad cases where bad things happen, or you have bad experience, but it still leads you to where you are and who you are.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, it's definitely been the case for my life, and even writing the book that I wrote last year. It's a rhyming thing that I wrote for E Tū Tāngata. Well, that traces back to me starting to write songs as a teenager, and then I actually was a rapper through my 20s, and then flowed from rap into spoken word poetry. So it's like been one kind of step after another, all utilising those skills, but in quite different spaces. And now, of course, with my own kids, that kind of naturally led into starting to think about the kids' books and things. So following that through, I think has been really, really important for me to look back and go, actually, this has been a journey. It's not just been some random, one thing after another that's got nothing to do with each other.
No, and it's quite good. It is quite good to sit back and remember that, because I never kind of think about that hardly ever. So it is actually quite good to sit back and go, because sometimes I feel like I'm just floundering around, just I have no idea, blah, I was just doing this, that, and the other thing. And then you have to think, yes, but it is leading somewhere, or it has led somewhere, that's quite good to remember. That's
really refreshing, though, that, you talk about yourself coming in those years before retirement, and you're still going, I don't know what I'm doing. That's really life-giving for a lot of people, I think, because there are so many people that feel like you should have it all figured out. And like it needs, and I just don't think that you do.
Well, I think some people think they do, and they're on a path and they feel really settled and good
Yeah.
in that path.
And
But
good for them.
anything can, oh, exactly. I don't know who they are,
Yeah.
but if it's you, well done. But yeah, I've always felt like I'm just kind of rolling my way through life, not really understanding a lot of it and knowing what I'm doing, but getting there. And yeah. And I often say to younger people who say, I don't know if I do this or that, and it's worrying me if I do this. And I go, look, it doesn't really matter what you do, as long as you actually don't hate it or you enjoy it, because it'll all lead somewhere in the end.
Yeah. I've noticed when I've been like connecting with your songs that it seems important to you that amongst all the fun and the silly and, the things that are just for dancing to or whatever, you're also pretty keen on inserting some important messages in your songs. And I'm thinking of, things like Magic in Me, where you're saying, I've got the magic in me to be whoever I want to be, or, save the planet, talking about ecology and that kind of thing. Or even the unfamiliar places where you're going, it's always hard, don't feel alone, stepping out of your comfort zone. And, those kind of messages are just beautiful. Why has it been important to you that that's something that comes out in your writing?
Because I think I like to let kids know that no matter what they're going through, someone else is either going through it or has been through it. And it's kind of, there's such a massive realm of normal, like nothing's really normal. And to be able to feel like you're not the only one, because we're all just here. Like I said before, we're all just humans being, that's all we're trying to do. And I just want kids to feel that they're not alone, I guess, and not the only ones. That we all have these insecurities or struggles, or we all need to remember that we're amazing. We are amazing.
Yeah. And some people,
Yeah.
kids and adults, don't hear that enough, do they?
No, that's right. They don't. And gosh, life is just so busy for everyone now too, and it's hard to squeeze everything in. And yeah, it's not easy to be a parent at the best of times, but it's pretty hard these days with all the technology as well and everything. And yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. Like a lot of, particularly those kind of songs, really suit the school environment. And I know like your songs are sung in schools throughout the country, and I just think that's magic. Here are some songs that are written in New Zealand by a New Zealander, talking about who we are here, but also just, yeah. I mean, when I was at school, we were singing "We All Live in a Yellow Submarine." And
I sang that too.
whatever, or I don't know, Red Red Robin comes bobbing along, or
Yeah.
which there's nothing wrong with just singing fun songs, but when
Yeah.
they're singing songs and it's reinforcing to them who they are or who they can be, I just think that's really beautiful. And also, like I talked to Music with Michael last year, and about the idea that actually it's not just kids that listen to these songs, is it? It's actually parents as well. And there are
Yeah.
some parents that need some of these messages too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think parents probably need them just as much as the kids. And Michael's songs are similar to mine in that she likes to kind of reassure kids that her messages are similar, which is great. I mean, the more songs we have that do that, the better, I think. But as a general rule, I mean, I actually went to see Ed Sheeran the other day, and there were 48,000 people there, and singing is just it actually. I mean, it's great to have messages in your songs, and he does as well. But it's also just good for the soul to belt out a song in assembly, at home, wherever, because it not only brings you joy, but it just sends all this lovely joy out into the universe as well. And that's just a big bonus.
Yeah. I was actually just this morning listening to a podcast episode about the science of awe. and this guy that spent 10 years scientifically studying the physical body reactions to moments of awe in our life, and
Yeah.
and a lot of it he talked about in the research they've done. Actually, they thought that sort of moments of nature and things were going to come out on top as the most sort of awe-inspiring for people, but actually they found that it was moments where people are connecting or creating community or things like that are actually the most awe-inspiring. And he talked about singing as part of that, and how it's like, especially when you're in a group and you're singing, so whether that's church or whether that's school or whether that's at Ed Sheeran,
Yeah.
it's actually one of the few times where everybody's all synced together, because you're all breathing at the same time, you're all, everything's going in and out at the same time. You've got this, I mean, you're there with 48,000 other people and feeling some sort of connection to them because you're all there for the same purpose, and
Yeah.
you're all singing the same songs. And I find the whole science that he was talking about was just like feeds into exactly what you were saying, the joy and the beauty and things, and going, actually sometimes, it is great to have these messages, but sometimes just having songs for the sake of songs is also bringing beauty into the world, and that's actually enough.
Yeah. It's a really lovely thing. It just hit home when I was there. I mean, I have been to see him a couple of times, and I've been to lots of other concerts. There's something about him, though, and I think it's because he's just so down to earth and natural with it all, and he just seems to be himself, which automatically connects you. And I realised then and there that it's just such an amazing, powerful thing that anybody who can bring people together in that way. And it hit home to me that even though mine is on a much smaller scale, maybe 48 people might be at a gig, it's still a really lovely thing to be able to do. It's and I should be grateful for any people that listen to my music or come along to a gig.
Yeah. So you've been doing this kids music stuff for quite a while now, since the early 2000s.
Yes.
So you started, after my childhood. Even Susie Cato's pushing it for me a little bit. She was kind of more as I was getting into teenage years. But
yes.
The first time I became aware of you was when my girls were little, and we recorded some Paw Patrol episodes on my Freeview, and it seemed like whichever one they chose to watch again, up popped you and Susie sprinkling a little sunshine at the end of each episode. And
cool.
So that was kind of the first time that I became aware of you, and then a few years went by, and then I became aware of E Tū Tāngata, and I interviewed Jay Geldard on the podcast, and that was something that just completely captivated me, and obviously then I've gone on to write a book for them. But you actually beat me to that because you've written a song for them. How did that come about? How did that partnership come together?
Well, it was cool how it worked. And, my favourite thing is for someone to say, can you write a song? And here's all the info kind of thing. And I create something out of that. I love doing that. So I was really rapt when Jay got in touch. But so his children go to Rolleston School, and one of the teachers there was a huge fan of mine. And when they were thinking about a song to go along with all their resources, the teacher was like, well, you should ask Kath Bee because she writes really great songs. And I was stoked to get that commission. And because I like to write for the 5 to 10-year-old sort of age group, or even up to 12, and I knew it had to be a really cool song, I invited Luke Ipapara and Ryan Berry to help me, because I knew that they would make it even more cool. So that's where that collab came in, and we just bounced around the ideas of all the values, and came out with the song, which was it's been a really big hit, and and it won the Children's Song of the Year last year.
Yeah, it
So
did.
that's even more of a bonus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You say it's a pretty big hit. It's won the Song of the Year. It's sung in schools all over the country. There's dance competitions that have been run, like
That's
dancing
right,
to
the
that
dance challenge.
dance
Yeah.
challenge, dancing to that song, and again, it's putting forward messages that kids need to hear.
Yep.
And yeah, what is it about the E Tū Tāngata thing that, like, when you got that commission, you went, yeah, I really want to share about this idea.
Yeah. Well, again, it's those messages of reinforcing that each of us has a value in this world, and I kind of like to stipulate that you don't have to be the best at anything. Like, you don't have to be the best. You can just be happy in your doing what you do. You don't have to be in the public eye. You don't have to be any, you're just, no matter what you do, just as a human, for being born, you've got value. So I really liked that message in particular. And because I like writing kind of songs that boost the human spirit, it just seemed to fit really perfectly for me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. What are your hopes going forward from here? Where to from here for Kath Bee?
Well, I just hope that money just starts rolling in for me and I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, we can
into
all
my
dream.
retirement.
Yeah.
No, I would like to write more commissions. I'm hoping that at some stage I'll get some sync licensing, that one of my songs will be picked up for an ad or something like that. And it is a little bit like hoping, because it's a fickle kind of industry, and especially in the children's realm, it seems even harder definitely to get into the real public eye. Get onto public TV or onto national radio or anything like that is really quite hard. So yeah, it's that's kind of what I hope. I want to get some more commissions and some more sync licenses, and I think sometimes I think I need to be working harder again when I let my promo slip or my marketing slip or whatever, and I think, oh, I've got to get back onto that. And then my granddaughter comes and the afternoon's gone.
Yeah.
And then, it's kind of, life kind of gets in the way. And then I think, oh, maybe I don't have to do that. Maybe I have to just let that go and be happy with, I'm going off to do a little gig for our local Montessori school this morning. It's kind of like, but yes, I will keep writing, and I will just keep my ears and eyes open for more commissions and things, that because writing's my passion, really. Performing is good, and I'm now okay with it. It's taken a long time to not have bad nerves for weeks before, but yeah.
And say writing, you've got a couple of books as well.
I do, and actually I've got a book and song and video coming out somewhere in the winter with Susie again.
Oh, nice.
So we have written another song together, and we've got a book coming out with that, which Scholastic picked up, which is also really awesome.
Yeah.
And we've got the E Tū Tāngata video coming out.
Awesome.
Very soon, and then another cool song written with Luke and Ryan that we and a really cool video coming out for that soon too. So there's a bit happening.
So you're having a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And working hard by the sounds of it. How can, if people want to follow you, find your music, where do they go?
Yep. Well, I would say...
Or book you for a commission.
Yes, please email me. You can find me everywhere.
Yeah.
You can find my website. It's just kathbee.nz, Kathbee. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. I do have a TikTok account, but I'm not very good at using it. Although someone did just say that individuality has blown up on TikTok and everyone's doing a dance to it. But I can't find it.
No.
That's how old I am. I don't even know how to use TikTok properly.
So I've never been on TikTok, so.
Oh, well, I feel better then.
Yep. Oh, thank you so much for coming on and having a chat with us. Thank you for all you do for people around you, bringing beauty into the world, bringing those messages of hope and joy and things. And yeah, thank you for what you're doing to bring a bit of heaven down to earth.
Thank you, Andy. It was lovely to chat with you.
Hello, hello heaven. Will I hear you whisper to come near?
I'm so taken with how Kath's story is one of love and care for others. Whether it's through her role as a teacher's aide or her intentionality around her song lyrics. I also loved the reminder that there are ways that we can throw joy out into the universe, and Kath, you certainly do just that. Thank you for who you are and for what you do. Here is a blessing for you. Kath, as you continue to walk the path of life, wherever it leads, may you continue to be taken on incredible adventures of learning and wonder and sharing who you are with those around you. May your heart for treating all people as people bring life to those you encounter, dignity to those who have had it taken from them, and joy to you as you throw off inhibitions and dance and sing and play. May your music continue to be sung by children throughout Aotearoa and beyond, and may it be part of shaping the culture of a generation as they grow to believe in themselves and those around them. May you continue to enjoy what you do, drawing life from doing something that throws joy out into the universe, that helps children to feel they aren't alone, and that helps all who hear it to know that they have value. May unexpected encounters create connections that lead to new opportunities, commissions, or creative endeavours. And lastly, may you know you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved. Thanks to Strawn for the music and Rangi for the karakia. Join me next time when I talk to Katie Rowden, the General Manager of Good Bitches Baking, a great organisation who use baking as a vehicle for good. We talk about the name, the mission, the volunteers, the recipients, and the reciprocal nature of kindness. Until then, me inoi tātou.
E tō mātou matua I te rangi, kia tapu tō ingoa, kia tau mai tō rangatiratanga, kia mea te tau e pai ai ki runga ki te whenua, kia rite anō ki tō te rangi. Homai kia mātou ai nei, he taro mā mātou mō tēnei rā. Muro o mātou hara, me mātou hoki e muru nei I o te hunga, e hara ana kia mātou. Aua hoki mātou e kawea, kia whakawaia. Engari whakaorangi a mātou, I